También vamos a hacer el recording, vamos a grabar, así que pueden apretar got it o lo quiero. Para todas las personas que hablan en español, si tienen alguna pregunta en poder conectarse al canal de interpretación, pueden escribir en el chat y los puedo ayudar. Apretar el botón interpretación, elegir español y luego OK. All right. Thank you so much, Anaya, and back to you. You are on mute.
Thank you. I would have been steady talking. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into the meat of things. Thank you so much for coming to our information session. Spaces in Action introduces a supplemental pay for educators information session. This is brought to you by Spaces in Action Early Learning Child Care Team. Again, thank you all for coming. Those that are coming and joining a Spaces in Action event for the first time, thank you and welcome to the family. And those that have been to a Spaces in Action event before, welcome back. So good to see you. So we will go ahead and go to the next slide. All right. So for those that do not know about us, want to give you a little background. So Spaces in Action, or SIA, is a grassroots nonprofit membership organization. SIA campaigns include increasing early childhood learning opportunities, access to healthy equity and racial economic dignity for Black and Brown communities in the Metro Washington, D.C. region. Through base building, leadership development, and taking collective action, we build power, expand coalitions, and bridge alliances to win local, regional, and national people-centered solutions. We, with our members, reclaim our power. We believe in coalition work, and our members of EASN P5 Capacity Building Collaborative, Fair Budget Coalition, Just Recovery DC, Shut Down DC, and Under 3 DC. So we are also accompanied with a representative of OSSE and a representative of AidKit. So just for clarity purposes, those that are attending this meeting, it is not required to be a Spaces in Action member to receive the supplemental pay, but we do encourage the membership so that you guys can get plugged into Spaces in Action events and how we organize on a regular basis. Just to clarify, we are separate from OSSE and we are separate from AidKit. We are a separate nonprofit organization that is not a federal group. What we are doing is making sure that information is being given directly to educators. There is a lot of misinformation and some people that just do not know about the supplemental pay. And so we are making sure that we are doing our part as an organization and as advocates for educators, making sure that you guys get all the information you need so that you are set up so that when the money is ready to be rolled out, you guys are not going to be the last one to hear about it. But at the end of this portion, at the end of this info session, we will be having a question and answer portion in which I will pass it over to AidKit and OSSE to answer any questions that you guys might have. We want to make sure you guys have direct connections to those that have answers to your questions. So if you could please hold your questions, just write them down, jot them down until the end during the Q&A portion. Thank you. So we will go to...
Yes, Anaya, amazing. Please speak it slowly for the interpreters, please.
Oh, got you. I'll
Just a little bit less. Just a little bit less. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right, so we can continue. Oh, actually, let's go back to that portion. All right, so just for those that aren't equipped with Zoom, Zoom engagement tools. So at the bottom left, you will have your mute button or how to unmute. If you want your video to show, you can also do that and access that at the bottom left of your screen. If you are wanting to show a reaction on your screen or a thumbs up or a hand clap, the reactions button should be in the middle. Okay. The reaction should be in the middle of your screen. And if you are going to be putting something in the chat for everyone to see, just making sure that it says to everyone. And if your hand, if you have a question in the middle, just again, please refrain from asking until the end and just writing that down. So if you understand what I'm saying, if you could put a reaction on your screen, thumbs up, hands clap, however. Okay. Perfect. I'm seeing thumbs up. All right. Seems like y'all got the gist of things. We love to see it. Thank you so much. All right. Now we can go to the next slide. Okay. So spaces in action, we have been focused on centering the voices of early childhood educators. This supplemental pay is for educators. So we wanted to make sure we asked different educators what they would do, you know, with their supplemental pay. How would that benefit their life? So we wanted to open up this info session with the short video that we created. So we'll go ahead to the link and start the video.
The supplemental pay is for people who are currently employed in community-based early childhood programs.
The 10 to 14K will benefit my life. I'll be able to save money and possibly invest in something. Those funds would help us get back on the path that we were on before everything was rocked to its core by COVID. A lot of us suffered, and a lot of us are still suffering, so the money would help.
It's really hard to pay your bill and have something to save for the rainy days. Sometimes the income just does not meet all I require to do what I need to do.
I feel like we shouldn't be living check to check, trying to make it and still can't make it.
We have to make sure that they cover healthcare for teachers because that's very essential.
I don't work for me. I work for my parents. Like, I do it because I'm trying to help them out.
It's been a struggle for me and my mom.
You personally helped me help my grandmother get a tombstone. I've been trying about 2 years now to get her a tombstone. She's been passed away for a while now. And that's like my family's biggest thing right now is to get her a tombstone. So she has like her stamp, her mark left on the world. The advice I would give to a child educator is just be patient with the child. Work really hard. Do not expect whatever it is that you're expecting. Everything that you do for these children needs to come from your heart. Do it from your heart and give them everything you got.
You know, sometimes we come to work and we don't feel as appreciated because some parents think we're babysitters supposed to more as a teacher. We sacrifice, you know, our children.
If you're
Wonderful. Thank you. So we'll go back to our slides. So now we ask the educators that are on the info session right now. Thank you so much. So yes, I'm seeing some comments come in. That was beautiful. What do you guys think about that that video? And also, if you want to if you want to answer this in the same breath, how would the supplemental pay benefit your life? So how does this affect you directly? If you guys can come off mute, we want to, get some engagement going on. I really want to hear the voices of the educators. This info session is for you guys. So how would the supplemental pay benefit your life? Anybody can go.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hey, how are you? Hi. Hello, everybody.
Hi, if you can just introduce yourself and let us know if you're an educator or your title, where you teach at, and you can go ahead and answer the question.
Okay, so my name is Tiffany Dorsey. I'm a lead teacher at Rehoboth Baptist Church Child Development Center. It will help me a lot because honestly, since the pandemic started, I kind of got into debt a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So like paying bills, it became harder. Like, I don't know, like it just became harder for me. Like trying to make ends meet, trying to buy groceries. Now gas is up, so trying to put gas in the car, like it would help out a lot. Like, cause they gave us programs here, like in DC, but then
I think she cut out.
I would like to say in Spanish, la señora Alma Vides, podemos ayudar a nuestra familia. Thank you.
Was there anyone else that?
Yes, we have Tamika in English. He will help me catch up on bills and be able to save and get my car. Let me move the translator. My car fixed. And Antonia, he will help to pay bills and provide more support for my family. Thanks for sharing English or Spanish in the chat. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else that wanted to share how the supplemental payment will benefit your life?
Yes, this is Miss Patricia Leach. I'm a teacher at NCS Child Development Center. And they would help me clear up some of my bills, because I'm kind of behind on my bills, and they would help me a whole lot.
Thank you so much for sharing. And it sounds like you're out and about right now. So thank you for taking time out to be with us. Did anyone else want to share how the supplemental pay would benefit their life?
Yes. Hi, I'm Deborah Arnold for Kids OSSE Learning Center. And I actually would like to say that I would probably continue adding more supplies and stuff into my classroom when things can't be, really done per se. I can give a helping hand, and then I will continue on to pay bills and keep living. Hello?
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Deborah, for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more, but that was real quick and simple.
¿Me escuchan? Buenas tardes.
Sí, señora Puma, ¿le gustaría hablar en español?
Sandy?
Sí.
¿Le escuchamos?
Buenas tardes. Quería aportar una opinión con respecto a eso. Definitivamente yo creo que la mayoría de familias, por no decir todos, por la pandemia nos vimos afectados. Y una de esas fui yo, de que dejé de trabajar durante un año y fue bastante difícil sostener la familia económicamente. So, este apoyo definitivamente nos beneficiaría muchísimo a la mayoría de familias. Siento yo que estoy hablando por la mayoría. Así que sí, y no solo eso, yo en lo personal me gustaría también implementar más herramientas en mi salón.
Right.
Gracias,
Sandy. Gracias.
Please, Rhonda, can you mute your phone? Thank you.
Yes, those that are not speaking, if you can please mute, making sure that we're respecting those that are talking. And is there anyone else? How would the supplemental pay benefit your life?
Hello.
Hi, Miss Rhonda. How you doing?
I'm good. The supplement for me will help me pay some bills, help with supplies in the classroom, because most of the time I use my own money to get the kids supplies or whatever else is needed in the classroom. So I think the money will be helpful.
Wonderful. And was there anyone else?
Anaya, I would like to say something. And it's right. Hi, it's right about that. I was gonna say, teachers, please spend the money on yourself. I know most of you are gonna put the money back in your classrooms, but you all deserve this. This is a historical moment in early childhood education. Take advantage of it and be the best that you can for these children and families that we're serving. Put the money on yourself.
Oh, hey, Trish.
Guys, hi.
Trish, we miss you.
I miss y'all too.
You gotta come visit. But yes, as you saw in the video, it ranges how educators plan to spend the money. But I would second Ms. McFadden and say there is a lot that teachers, are asked to do in the classroom. So having this money and allocating it to yourself, the stories range from supporting their families to getting a tombstone for their grandparents, to investing in themselves, to starting that business on the side, to just getting them caught up in life. So make sure that this money that you guys are given, of course, you have the freedom to do as you choose, but really investing it into yourself, because you deserve that. You deserve that investment.
I don't be knowing stuff like that.
Yes. And was there anyone else I wanted to share before we got started, got deeper into the presentation? Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, make sure you click view options and you can choose English or Spanish presentation. And if you speak Spanish, don't forget to click interpretation button. Si hablan en español, no se olviden de apretar el botón de interpretación. Thank you, Naya.
Thank you, Cecilia. Ivy, did you want to say something? Because it said it's unmuted. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll go to the next slide. Okay, so how it happened, the 5 to 14K. So a little background, the early childhood educators.
Why everything in Spanish, Ms. B?
Oh, so you probably are in the.
No, she's if you go to the top of your screen and click view options. If you're on a computer, it will be at the top of your screen. And when you go to Aaliyah Dorsey, and she's sharing the English slides.
All right.
Did that work? Just want to make sure everybody's able to see the slides in their first language. Great.
Perfect. All right, cool. So how it happened, 5 to 14K. So the Early Childhood Educators Compensation Task Force submitted its final report recommendation to the mayor and council on May 23rd, 2023. The DC Council approved funding for a recent tax increase to help ensure the early childhood educators receive similar compensation as DC public school educators with similar roles, education, and experiences. We can go to the next slide. All right, so this is one of the big questions. A lot of people were asking us this question. Who is eligible for this compensation? Who is not eligible? So let's get into the meat of things. So you must be employed in a child development center licensed by OSSE to the Office of the State Superintendent of Education. Okay, so employment must be confirmed through staff registration in the Division of Early Learning Licensing Tool, so DELT. Okay, must have an employment start date on or before May 16th. So you had to be an educator at that center before May 16th, 2022. Must be employed on the date the individual submits a supplemental payment request to AidKit. All right, 2, be employed in the eligible role. So there are specific roles that will be deemed as eligible. Eligibility is determined based on the staff type listed in DELT for an individual staff type. That is one of the following: a teacher, assistant teacher, associate caregiver, extended home provider, Montessori assistant teacher, and Montessori teacher. So yes, home providers and extended home providers are covered in this supplemental pay rollout.
Naya, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry, but I cannot hear the interpreters. Is it only me or ¿están pudiendo escuchar la interpretación en español? ¿Alguien puede salir del micrófono?
No se escucha.
No, solamente se estoy viendo en español lo que está diciendo ella.
So, Nanaya, can you please check? Sí, ahora te escucho, Lina.
Sí, ahora sí.
Sí.
Okay, are they able to hear them or no?
Okay. Sí, te escuchamos.
Okay, so you want me to go
Anaya,
over that part again?
we can continue. Thank you.
Were they able to hear the first part? Do I need to start over on the slide?
I think we should say, let's go with the number 2.
Okay. All right, so to be employed in an eligible role will determine whether you are eligible for the supplemental pay. So eligibility is determined based on the staff type listed in DELT for an individual staff type that is one of the following. So teachers, assistant teachers, associate caregivers, extended home providers, Montessori assistant teachers, and Montessori teachers. The following are eligible for the supplemental pay. Those that are not eligible are the following: directors, lead teachers in pre-K enhancement and expansion programs, so PKEEP classrooms, group leaders and after-school program assistants and substitutes, teachers in the District of Columbia public schools, so DCPS, and public charter schools. And if you can go back real quick. At the bottom, so staff that is at non-OSSE licensed facilities are not eligible. So just, going back over the number 1, you have to be an OSSE licensed facility to be eligible for the supplemental pay rollout. All right, we can go ahead. Okay, so now I'm going to pass it over to Dariana to go into how to submit a supplemental payment request to AidKit.
Thank you, Anaya. Hello, everyone. I'm Dariana, and I'm a community builder with Spaces in Action. Thank you all so much for coming to the info session. Could we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so to receive funds, eligible childcare staff must submit a payment request through the AidKit platform. That includes all required information, your document with photo, headshot/selfie, payment information, payment options for banked and unbanked. So first, direct bank deposit. If you choose to receive payment via direct deposit, the following information is required to complete the payment, which will be the name of your bank, routing number, and account number. And second, if you choose to receive payment by debit card, the following information is required to complete the payment, which will be your home address. Also, the debit card will be mailed to your address, your social security number and individual taxpayer identification number, your W-9 form, and the applicant must affirm the following: intend to remain employed in a licensed child development center until at least December 31st, 2022, regularly work in the Licensed Child Development Center on a full-time or part-time basis, full-time at least 30 hours per week on an average, or have worked at least 240 hours in the last 8 weeks, part-time at least 10 hours per week on average, or have worked at least 80 hours in the last 8 weeks. Payment will only be issued after all required information is provided and payment request is approved. Next, the payment amounts for childcare staff eligible to receive a supplemental pay distribution from the Early Childhood Educators Pay Equity Fund for the fiscal year will be determined based on the following. So type of staff, the payment amount is determined based on the type staff listed and dealt for an individual. The following staff types qualify for the EC level 2 pay level: teacher, extended home provider, and Montessori teacher. The following staff types qualify for the EC level 1 pay level: assistant teacher, Montessori assistant teacher, and associate caregiver. And next, full-time or part-time employment status. Full-time or part-time employment status is determined based on self-validation on the supplemental pay request form. Individuals requesting a supplemental payment must select one of the following: full-time, which will be if you work an average of 30 hours a week at a licensed child development center, or at least 240 hours in the last 8 weeks. Part-time, you need to be working an average of 10 to 30 hours a week at a licensed child development center, or at least 80 hours in the last 8 weeks. And lastly, less than part-time, you have to work an average of less than 10 hours a week at a licensed child development center and have not worked at least 80 hours in the last 8 weeks. So next, payments will be determined based on the mix of staff type and based on whether it is full-time or part-time according to the table below. So first, the staff type, EC level 1 would be assistant teachers, associate caregiver, home provider, Montessori assistant teacher. If you are full-time, you will receive up to $10,000, and if you are part-time, you will receive up to $5,000. And then the staff type for EC level 2, if you are a teacher, extended home provider, or a Montessori teacher, you will receive, if you're full-time,
If gonna make you
if you are part-time, you will receive up to $7,000.
Everyone, hold on, Dariana. If everyone could please mute yourself. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, we can go to the next slide. Oh, were you able to hear the last part? I can go over it one more time.
Go over it one more time, honey.
Okay, for an EC level 2, if you are a teacher, extended home provider, or Montessori teacher, and you are full-time, you receive up to $14,000. And if you are part-time, you receive up to $7,000.
Oh, I think we accidentally went to the 12. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So the Pay Equity Fund for Early Childhood Educators in 5/20/22 so more details are expected this summer. Eligible early childhood educators will receive a separate payment directly from AidKit, OSSE provided to distribute payments. This is to help bring educators' salaries closer to those of DC public school educators with similar roles and responsibilities. Program directors or owners are not responsible for providing this payment. This payment will not come from the bosses or administrators. Eligible early childhood educators will receive between $5,000 and $14,000 before taxes. Depending on your role in your classroom, teachers or caregivers will receive more than assistant teachers or associate caregivers. And I will be handing it off to Mark to cover the Pay Equity Fund for Early Childhood Educators for fiscal year 2023 and beyond.
Thank you, Dariana. Hi, everyone. This is Mark. Thank you for joining us today. I will go ahead and start. Please, next page. In June 2022, the DC Council passed legislation authorizing OSSE to continue distributing direct payments to eligible childcare workers in fiscal year 2023. Given this legislation and funds appropriated in the FY 2023 budget, childcare workers who received pay equity funds in FY 2022 and remain employed in an eligible position at an OSSE licensed childcare development center can expect to receive additional payments between October 2022 and September 2023. In the summer and early fall of 2022, OSSE will share updated policies and more information about the funding request process and timeline for the FY 2023 distribution. Next page, please. Beginning in FY 24, fiscal year 2024, October 2023, OSSE will transition to distribute funds to child development facilities. Facilities accepting funds must pay childcare workers eligible wages that reflect the recommendation of Early Childhood Pay Equity Task Force. More information about these salaries and requirements for the providers and eligible staff will be available in the spring of 2023. OSSE will continue to engage early childhood stakeholders over the coming months to inform program design, implementations, and launch for the FY 2024 and beyond.
Cecilia, is this a good pace for the translators?
Sí, gracias.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry.
You're good.
All right. Ways to prepare for the Compensation Party Support Initiative. Please review the eligibility criteria to see if you are eligible for a supplemental payment. If you have a question about your job title, ask your employer. Open a bank account if you can to make sure you can receive a direct deposit. Get college and CDA records together. Update resumes, connect with trusted organizations and groups. Get an email address and participate checking it at least 3 times a week if you haven't already. How to contact OSSE. DEL communication at dc.gov. This is a resource. This is a resource link for OSSE. Resource links will be sent to participants after the briefing. Upcoming information sessions, OSSE and AidKit will hold 2 information sessions during the month of August. Early childhood educators will be able to learn more about the Early Childhood Educators Pay Equity Fund, how to apply, and how to ask questions. Early childhood educators may attend one or both information sessions. Both sessions will be recorded and will be available on the OSSE website for people who are unable to attend or who wish to review the information at a future date. Briefing dates: Saturday, August 13th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. and Tuesday, August 23rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Now we'll pass it on back to Anaya.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, so that basically wraps up Spaces and Actions portion of the info session today. We wanted to make sure we had a slide that gave you guys our information. So now that you have attended one of our Spaces in Action events, you are now considered family in the eyes of Spaces in Action. So this is the contact information for myself, Anaya Vines. I am the Spaces in Action Early Learning Organizer. This is my email. We also have Mark's information and Dariana's information. They are the community builders in the early learning issue area for Spaces in Action. After this info session, we are going to be reaching out to you guys. Okay, so now we are officially locked in. All right, we are BFFs for life. And I just say that to say we will be scheduling basically chats with you guys, letting you guys know more about Spaces in Action, who we are as an organization. And even if you guys want to learn more outside of the early learning portion of Spaces in Action, our issue areas range from health equity to economic justice. So we definitely want to see where you can fit into our family. But just letting you guys know, in the next week or so, we will be reaching out to you guys just to schedule some time to talk and chat. Also, closer to the application start date, we are going to do more outreach to remind you guys that those briefings are coming up that OSSE and AidKit are hosting. We want to make sure you guys are prepared and you guys are equipped to fill out those applications and get your supplemental pay. If we can go to the next slide. If you want to know more about our organization, because there has been questions about who we are, how we are associated and affiliated with OSSE and AidKit, we definitely help them out, but we are not officially affiliated with them at all. We are our own separate entity, Spaces in Action nonprofit organization. But what we are doing is helping with, the dissemination of information. There is a lot of misinformation that's being given to educators. There are also educators that still do not know that this compensation pay, that this supplemental pay is coming out. If we could mute ourselves, please. There is still misinformation that's coming out, and those that just do not know where to go. Some people don't know the resources, some people don't know the links, and that's where we come in as an organization. We just help you guys get the correct information that you need to be the best educators that you can be, as supported as you can be. We advocate on behalf of you guys. You can join our mailing list at bit.ly/SIA Stay Connected. As I said before, there is, okay. Yes, so we are an organization that covers a lot of issue areas. So there are different actions. There are different actions that we do on a regular basis. So we want to make sure you guys are plugged in as much as possible. We also have a Twitter, a Facebook, an Instagram, and a TikTok. All of them are at Spaces in Action. All right. And we can go into the next slide. I think there is a question that's asking about a fee attached to services. So just like you got the information for this info session, there was no charge. So our services and advocating on behalf of educators, that is free. When it comes to membership, once we schedule those meetings, we can talk more about that. But when it comes to attending any of our events, when it comes to actually attending like our information sessions, our direct actions, our rallies, our protests, our marches, those are of course free. All right, so now it is Q&A time. So for those that have questions directly to AidKit or OSSE, now is the time to let your questions be known. So I will actually hand it over to Ruth. Ruth, if
I
you
have a question.
Perfect. I'll hand this over to Ruth. Ruth, if you can just introduce yourself. And Julia, if you're still on the call, it would be great if you could introduce yourself as well. And then we can go ahead and start the Q&A. If you guys can unmute yourself to say, you know, whatever question it is. If you're unable to unmute yourself, you can put your question in the chat as well. So Ruth, I'll give it over to you.
Sure. Thank you for sharing all this information. I'm Ruthie Tesfaye. I'm a program manager at AidKit, working on the pay equity program. I'm happy to be here to answer any questions. Just want to add that the application is under development and hasn't launched yet, so wanted to give that update to the group. We will be sharing any communications through OSSE or our platform to all eligible staff once that application date is finalized, so just keep a lookout there. So just wanted to preface the Q&A time with that. So I can answer any questions that are around just general questions, but if they're application specific questions, then I would encourage everyone to join those info sessions that OSSE is organizing. We'll be able to go more in depth and one by one through all the application sections and questions there.
Hi, yes, and I am Julia Banks. I am a community relations specialist with the Division of Early Learning at OSSE. And again, I just want to reiterate what Ruthie shared, that the application has not yet launched. I know a lot of folks are excited. We'll be spreading the word far and wide when it is open, so just stay tuned for more.
Perfect. So now it is the Q&A portion. Tamika.
Yes. I would like to know, will the money be coming soon or later, like in 2022 or 2023?
So for anyone who's eligible and applies during the fiscal year 22, so by the end of September, your funding should be received within that fiscal year. I think that is a case-by-case basis, depending on, you know, if you submit an application, when you submit an application, but that is the goal.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a question. My name is Deborah. When do we apply? Will something be sent to our email, or I think in the past we received something through our email where we had to fill out paperwork. Is that the one that's effective, or are we going to receive something else?
So notifications will be sent through a number of venues. In most cases, individuals who are eligible will receive an email from OSSE and a text message from AidKit. Actually, there's an email and a text message from AidKit.
Okay.
That is as long as your employer has included your email address and phone number in the Division of Early Learning licensing tool.
Okay, all right.
If that information has not been updated and you believe you are eligible, you will still be able to access the application. The application will be found on the OSSE website. And it will be on the web page that I dropped in the chat. I will also include that again. But yes, we will be sharing information far and wide. Childcare facilities will be getting flyers that they can hand out to staff to let them know. So you should be hopefully in the loop when the application actually launches.
Great, thank you, my dear, really appreciate it.
Someone in the chat asks, what if a person has a CDA but doesn't work in a classroom with the students? Do they receive a payment as well?
There was a lot in that question. I think that it all goes back to like those 3 key eligibility criteria. So you need to be in a licensed child development facility, enrolled working in an eligible role. So as long as your title is one of those that are listed, and then also working at least 10 hours a week. So the question had layers there. It added CDA and different staff types. I think if you have a very unique scenario based on like multiple roles and ability, you should reach out to OSSE. And Julia, feel free to.
Yes, I'll hop in here as well. So to receive a supplemental payment, you must meet the eligibility criteria that we discussed earlier. I also included a link to that criteria in the chat. Your staff type and role is based on your responsibilities at the facility where you are employed and your qualifications. So for example, if you are an individual in the assistant teacher role, you must carry out the responsibilities that reflect an assistant teacher role as defined in the licensing regulations and have the credentials required for the role as of the date of your application. Early educators do not need to meet the new educational credential requirements that will be in effect as of December 2023 in order to receive funds for the Pay Equity Fund in fiscal year 2022. I know that's a lot to soak in. I will drop in a link to the chat to the FAQ document that we have that addresses this question as well.
I have one question. Will salaries determine the amount of the stipend that we get?
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
the amount you receive is based on your role and your employment status, whether that is part-time or full-time.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. So as far as the money go, are we receiving it in increments or are we going to get it in one large sum?
Go ahead.
For fiscal year 2022, so the payments that are upcoming, that will be in one lump sum. And so that will be anywhere between $5,000 and $14,000, depending on your title and your staff title, as well as your employment status, meaning part-time or full-time. Those payments will either be distributed depending on how you choose. You can either have a direct deposit into your bank account, or you can elect to do a prepaid debit card, in which case that debit card could be mailed to your house, or you can elect to pick it up in person from one of our partners.
Okay, so you said as far as getting the payment, that would be as soon as we turn in our application?
There will be a review process of the application. So you'll need to go through a review, approval, and then there will be a small portion of time for the funds to actually be dispersed. So it's not going to be immediate, but it will be shortly after.
All right,
So-
thank you.
So is that the website that the link that you just put on? The eligibility criteria, is that the link that we should go on to do our legwork?
Can you clarify what you mean by that? I think that Julia shared the link to the OSSE's resources.
Right.
That's not the same link as the application, but once the application does go live, you will be able to find it on OSSE's website.
Okay, then. You have any idea when the application goes live? Or just keep checking our emails? What do you what should we do?
Yeah, so checking the email, that's also where Spaces comes in. Like, we're in close relation with AidKit and OSSE. So once that is live, those that are that filled out the Google form and the participants in this information session will send you guys that. We'll say, you know, it's live, you guys will be able to apply. Also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Julia, but people will be notified if they are approved or not before they actually, you know, get the money, right? They'll get that notification sooner.
Understandable.
That's correct.
Understand. All right, understandable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Deborah.
Okay, I have a question. I have my hand raised also too. I'm Trish McFadden. I'm an advocate and a community builder and a member of Spaces in Action. So I want to encourage you all on this line to sign up with Spaces in Action so you can get this information. Anaya is good about getting that information out, and she's visiting centers. So that way, when you see her show up, grab her and give her your information so you can stay informed. But I do have question for the AidKit, the people who are responsible for this application. Why is the process taking so long? Because the teachers have been asking about this incentive since it came out, and it's been too long for them to wait another 3 or 4 months to receive their incentive. So is there a date attached to it? I mean, I think it's really long. I'm speaking from an advocacy point of view right now. The teachers deserve this. Now, I believe they should have at least a suspected date when it should happen. First, it was July, then it was August, and I just heard September. So is there any date attached to it? Please, someone answer.
Yeah. Julie, do you want to?
Yeah, thank you for that. We know that folks are anxious to get the funds, and we're excited to get the funds out as well. You know, a lot of this has been a process that we wanted to be very thoughtful with. You know, there are many considerations here. We want to be keeping folks' data safe. We want to make sure that the payments are going to the right folks. So we are working to be as thoughtful, but also as quick as possible. You know, we're eyeing a launch in the coming weeks, and we look forward to getting the money out to folks this fiscal year.
Thank you.
Okay, so I see hands, Mercedes, and then Zandy.
Ya, gracias. Muchas gracias. Soy Mercedes García y estoy totalmente de acuerdo con la activista que habló ahora, porque de verdad que hemos esperado mucho tiempo. Sé que hay un dinero que va a llegar que no nos cae nada mal y pues esto es algo que se agradece y que lo merecemos también, ¿verdad? Pero de verdad que sí pienso que han tomado mucho tiempo. Yo entiendo que hay procesos que seguir, pero hemos esperado bastante y escuché a alguien que dijo que vamos a esperar si es aprobado. ¿A qué se refieren cuando hablan de si es aprobado? Porque se supone que los centros ya enviaron esa aplicación dejando saber si es un leader teacher, si es un asistente o si trabaja solo medio tiempo. Entonces, no entendí esa parte cuando dicen que sí es aprobado. ¿A qué se refiere? Porque ya está la información ahí. Muchas gracias a ustedes, muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Okay, so did you need that translated, you guys?
Thank you for that. I want to clarify that in most cases, the turnaround time for approving an application is not an extensive amount of time. Ruthie, can you confirm what we're expecting that to be?
Yeah, so if there's kind of two things that happen with the approval. Yeah, I understand what you were saying around your directors having inputted the information to help support that. There was a little bit of work that has to happen to make sure that that data is accurate on our end. And so once you're approved, once you submit your application, we're just looking for a couple things to confirm that that is going to the right person. And that window of time is very short. We'll be able to approve your application like pretty much immediately if your application is complete. So there are some like items that you have to upload, like a W-9, a photo ID, your selfie. So like things like that do require some review. There won't be too much delay there, but we will need to take a couple of days at the very least to review it. But I think that in terms of overall the process, submitting your application to approval, that period of window will be pretty short. Then you will just have, and you'll receive notifications saying whether you were approved or not. And then if you are, and then once the payment has been received, once AidKit can issue your payment, you will receive a second notification. So we have multiple communications going to all applicants throughout the process to keep you informed of it. But the goal is to have applicants receive their funding by the end of OSSE's fiscal year.
Okay, and Deja? Oh, Zandy and then Deja. Zandy, you're still muted if you, is your hand raised?
Sí, buenas. Ya obtuve mi respuesta vía textos. Quería saber sobre los taxes, si tenías que pagar después de recibir el pago. pero ya me respondieron que sí. Así que, gracias.
Hi, I had a question just on behalf of the educators, just in case someone was wondering. So if you are denied your application, what does that process look like? Are you explained why, it was denied? Will there be like a follow-up, like what you can do to get it approved?
Yeah, there will be an explanation, and we are working on an appeals process with OSSE, and that information will be shared once that's finalized. But there is a process.
And could denial look like maybe the application is incomplete and they will have to just go back in and complete it? Or could it be other things as well?
So in AidKit, a way our application system is set up is that you can't submit an incomplete application. So all applications will be complete. There might be a follow-up on our end from our reviewers to clarify some things, but it would be complete, so to speak. If someone is denied, it's most likely that they're not
due to other information.
Yeah, so if there's some nuances to your situation, so I don't know, everyone's situation is different, then that would be where that case would fall under.
Got you.
And is there any other questions? So someone asked if you are a teacher / director, do you qualify? So are you saying, are you a teacher and director? Teachers qualify, directors don't, correct? Okay. So I guess it's what ever you're filed in as like the staff type for your center will determine if you qualify or not. And that's in the eligibility. But if you are officially registered as a teacher, then you're eligible, but directors are not.
Yeah, so this will depend on your staff type in DELT. So teachers are eligible, directors are not. However, we do understand that there are some directors and assistant directors and other staff who spend part of their day in childcare classrooms. So to be eligible, you need to have a position listed in DELT as that's an eligible role. Your position listed in DELT, if your position listed in DELT is not one of those eligible to receive a supplemental payment, but you spend more than 50% of your time or working hours teaching children or assisting in classrooms, you will be able to submit an appeal to request funding. Appeals will be considered on a case-by-case basis and take into account the policies established for the Pay Equity Fund and the individual's specific employment circumstances. More details on how to file an appeal will be shared closer to the launch of the application.
Perfect.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
I had another question. I just wanted to know, is OSSE solely working with AidKit and not anyone else? Because I receive like emails from Spaces in Action. So is OSSE like affiliated with AidKit and Spaces in Action, or just AidKit?
So OSSE is working, we partnered with AidKit to administer the funds. So AidKit is very involved. They're helping launch the applications. You'll be receiving notifications from them. You'll receive your funds through them.
Okay.
So they are an official OSSE partner for this fund.
Yeah, because I was receiving communications from Spaces in Action. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm not like in a part of any type of scam or anything. So
this is this webinar itself is hosted by Spaces in Action. There are great local grassroots advocacy organizations who helps to spread the word. They're helping us reach early educators. I know that many folks received emails from them over the past week. We're making clear that attending a one-on-one session with Spaces in Action or attending a webinar like this is not required to receive funds. You also do not need to share your information with any other organization to receive funds.
Okay.
As part of the Early Childhood Pay Equity Fund, the main players there are AidKit and OSSE. So if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out, and I'll put our
Okay.
details in the chat.
We are an actual organization, y'all. This is not a scam. This is not any crazy stuff like this. We do this on a regular basis. I'm a official, organizer, as well as the staff that's on the call. But yeah, we are strictly here to advocate on behalf of educators, on behalf of early learning birth to 3, and help spread the information that is given from OSSE, to make sure that educators like yourself are given the correct information and as much information as possible. So yes. And was there anyone else that had any questions? Okay. No one else have any questions for OSSE, AidKit, or myself? All right, I think we're good to go. All right, you guys. So I think that's going to wrap up our info session. So everyone that has attended or filled out the Google form, we're going to be in communication spaces will be to not only give you more information and updates that OSSE and AidKit provide us, but also just getting scheduling one-to-ones with you guys to let you guys know more about what our organization is, what we do, and all the issue areas that we cover. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We will also be sending you guys a resource, a list of resources. A lot of the links were provided by Julia throughout the presentation, but we will also be giving it to you guys via email, so you have that to reference at any given point. Of course, oh, you guys are so sweet. This was our pleasure. Spaces does this for you guys. Again, just going to different childcare centers and talking to more educators. There are, again, a lot of false information that's out there, and there's educators that just don't know. So, just making sure that all the information that's needed is given to you guys. And again, there are 2 briefings that are going to be hosted by OSSE and AidKit in August. So I believe it's August 13th and the 23rd, correct? Okay, August 13th. Okay, August 13th from 10 to 11:30, I believe, and August 23rd from 6 to 7:30. So that is 2 briefings you guys don't want to miss. We're also gonna let you guys know, once more information comes out about those. But we are here for y'all. Anything that you guys need, just please let us know. And if we don't have the answers for them, we will make sure we lead you to those that do or get the answers for you. Oh, Deja, did you have something else?
Yeah, just one more thing. Sorry, I just want to make sure everybody got their questions answered. Rhonda just dropped a question in the chat. Just wanted to make sure that there was clarification about who was involved. She said, why is DCPS a part of this, especially if they are working with 3-year-olds? So I'm not sure if she's asking is DCPS a part of this, but I just want to get that out there.
I'll clarify just the eligibility requirements. DCPS teachers as well as public charter school teachers are not eligible for this pay supplement.
Thanks, Julia.
I think she was asking more so if there was an explanation behind it, or if that is just a cut and dry, just is what it is type thing.
I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that might be around public schools, teacher salaries. The pay equity fund is to bring parity to preschool and pre-K teachers in public schools under DCPS. So that is the reason why their salaries, the funding that early educators at CBOs will receive will kind of bring the salary up to what teachers in DCPS are getting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you for that clarity. And thank you all for attending this info session. You heard it from us, Spaces in Action. Thank you, AidKit, and thank you, OSSE, for representing and answering the questions and just being present. There are going to be, events and things coming up, and we're going to try to loop everyone in together. But like I said, Spaces in Action, specifically early learning childcare, we are here to advocate on behalf of educators. Whatever y'all need, we're here to boost up y'all's voices, making sure that you guys are getting the correct information, as much guidance as possible. And if there's any questions you guys have, please let us know. Like I said, those that filled out the Google form to get you in contact with us and with this info session, you guys will be getting a follow-up email thanking you for attending and also asking your availability in the next 2 weeks for a one-to-one. For clarity and just to reiterate, you do not have to be a Spaces member to get this supplemental pay. We are just encouraging it because we have a lot in store for educators and those that are interested in any of our other issue areas, whether it be health equity or economic justice and more. So thank you again. If there is no questions, comments, or concerns, I think we are good to go. If my staff, as well as Ruth and Julia, can stay on, that'll be perfect. But everyone else, have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Gracias a todas, a todos por venir.
All right.
You're going to stop the recording too.
Mm-hmm.
Gracias, Lina. Gracias, Mauricio. Thank you so much, as always.
Okay.